It, the ecosystem. You know, these incredible hidden webs of connection that literally power our world. We're going to go from a single drop of pond water all the way to the massive Amazon rainforest, and we're going to unpack the rules that govern these amazing bubbles of life. Let's jump right in.
So this definition right here is the perfect place to start. I really want you to focus on that phrase, a bubble of life. It's so good because it tells you that an ecosystem isn't just a jumble of plants and animals hanging out in the same spot. No, it's a complete working system. The landscape, the weather, every single organism, they're all working together, all interacting, all depending on each other. And you know what? That interconnectedness, that's where the magic really happens.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to look at what makes an ecosystem tick, the basic blueprint. Then, we'll meet the key players, the living ingredients. After that, we're going to take a trip around the globe to see all the different kinds of these worlds, from deserts to oceans. We'll look at how they're structured, and then we'll wrap up with one of my favorite topics, nature's incredible ability to bounce back. Okay, let's dive into part 1, a bubble of life. So, what is the fundamental rule? What's the one big idea that holds true for every single ecosystem, whether it's a tiny puddle or the entire African savanna? The secret sauce, the one word you absolutely have to remember, is interact. It's all about the interaction. See, a deer isn't just standing next to a river, it's drinking from it. A tree's roots aren't just growing near some rocks, they're slowly, over centuries, breaking those rocks down. And the sun? It's not just mood lighting, it's the power source for the whole show. It's this constant back and forth, this dance between the living and the non-living, that really makes an ecosystem what it is. So how does all this interaction actually happen? Well, to get it, we've got to break any ecosystem down into its two most basic parts, its fundamental ingredients, if you will.
And here they are. It's a super simple but really important split. On one side, you've got your biotic components. Think of these as the cast of characters in a play, all the living or once living things. We're talking plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, you name it. Then, on the other side, you have the abiotic components. This is the stage itself. The sunlight, the water, the air, the soil. They set the scene and provide everything the actors need to perform. And you absolutely cannot have the play without both the actors and the stage.
Now, if we zoom in on that living, biotic world, it's not just chaos. It's not a free-for-all. Every single organism has a job to do, a role to play. You can almost think of it like a little economy, and pretty much everyone falls into one of 3 main job categories: the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here with the producers. These guys are the power plants of the natural world. Through that incredible magic trick called photosynthesis, they literally grab sunlight out of the air and turn it into energy, into food. Every other living thing, from the smallest bug to the biggest whale, is running on the energy that was first captured by these green plants. Take them away, and the whole system just stops. So, the producers make all this energy. Great, but where does it go? Well, it flows up. The energy packed into plants gets eaten by primary consumers. These are your herbivores, your plant eaters, like a rabbit. Then, that energy moves up another level when a secondary consumer, say a fox, eats that rabbit. You see how it works? It's just a chain reaction, with energy getting passed from one level to the very next. Okay, but what happens when all those plants and animals die? All that good stuff, all that energy, and all those nutrients can't just go to waste. And it doesn't. That's where the decomposers come in. These are the unsung heroes, nature's cleanup crew. Fungi, bacteria, they get to work breaking down all the dead material. They unlock crucial nutrients like nitrogen and carbon and put them right back into the soil. So new plants can grow, and the whole cycle starts over again. They're the critical link that makes it all sustainable. And of course, we can't forget about the stage itself. All of this amazing life, this whole drama of eating and being eaten, it all depends on these non-living, abiotic factors. Air, water, soil, they're not just sitting there in the background. They are active players that shape everything that can live and grow in that bubble of life. All right, so now we've got the blueprint, right? We know it's all about the living parts interacting with the non-living parts. So now let's zoom out and just appreciate how many different shapes and sizes these worlds within our world actually come in. Which kind of begs the question, where do we find these things? Are they just in faraway, exotic places you see in nature documentaries? Or are they closer to home? Well, the short answer is they're everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Your backyard, a local park, a puddle on the sidewalk, and we can start to organize them pretty simply into 2 huge categories: terrestrial, which means land-based, and aquatic, which means water-based. Pretty straightforward.
And just on land, the variety is just mind-blowing. And it's all shaped by things like climate and location. You've got lush forests, these really complex, layered worlds full of life. Then compare that to a wide-open grassland, which is all about sun and space. Or even a desert, where every single living thing has become a master of survival. Talk about different worlds.
And that's just on land. You dive into the water, and it's a whole other universe. You can split those up between the freshwater systems, like a quiet pond or a rushing river. And then there's the big one, the massive oceanic ecosystem. This thing covers over 70% of our entire planet, with zones ranging from sunlit coral reefs all the way down to the deep, dark abyss.
So we got all these different players and this energy flowing all over the place. It can get a little complicated, right? Well, thankfully, there's a really cool and simple way to visualize the whole structure.
It's called an ecological pyramid. It's basically just a simple chart that shows who eats whom. Each level of the pyramid is called a trophic level. And don't let the fancy term fool you, that's just a way of saying a step in the food chain. It is such a powerful tool because you can see the entire structure of a community at a single glance. And you can build these pyramids a few different ways. One way is a pyramid of numbers, where you just count every single organism. Another is a pyramid of biomass, where you weigh everything at each level. But the most important one, the most useful one, is the pyramid of productivity. This shows how much energy actually makes it from one level to the next. And here's the kicker. Typically, only about 10% of the energy from one level gets stored in the level above it. This is huge. It's the reason why there are always way more plants than zebras and way more zebras than lions. There just isn't enough energy to go around. All right, for our final section, and I think this is one of the coolest ideas of all, we need to remember that ecosystems are not static. They aren't just frozen snapshots in time. They are constantly changing, adapting, and evolving. And this whole process of change has a name. It's called ecological succession. And you've probably seen it without even knowing it. Think about an abandoned farm field. At first, you just get tough little weeds, but those weeds change the soil, which lets grasses move in. And then the grasses pave the way for some shrubs, then small trees. And then, decades later, you might have a whole forest. It's this slow but predictable march of one community taking over from the last one. And this happens in two main flavors. You've got primary succession. This is life starting from scratch, total blank canvas. Think about mosses and lichens slowly colonizing brand new volcanic rock. Then you've got secondary succession. And this is nature's comeback story. This is what happens after a big disturbance, like a forest fire. The soil is still there, so nature has a foundation to start rebuilding on. It's a story of rebirth.
So let's wrap this all up. What are the big takeaways? First, ecosystems are bubbles of life, defined by the interaction between the living and non-living. Second, energy is the currency, and it flows up from the producers. Third, these things are everywhere, in all shapes and sizes. And finally, and maybe this is the most hopeful part, ecosystems are not fragile and static, they're dynamic, and they have an amazing ability to recover.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. When an ecosystem makes a comeback, when it goes through that secondary succession after a fire or a flood, can it ever be truly the same? Does it rebuild itself exactly as it was before, or does it become something entirely new, forever shaped by what happened to it? Something to chew on.